are live. Welcome, welcome, welcome. It is Tuesday morning, and we are the 17 Club Mastermind Men's Group, the Men's Mastermind, which simply means no women allowed. No, we're good. We're good. Uh, Today, we're going to start off as usual with what's the purpose of this mastermind? Our purpose is to build disciplined men of purpose who take responsibility, act with intention, and serve others. This is where we study the science of personal achievement and to support, encourage, and hold each other accountable on their journey toward their personal or professional definite chief aim. So, welcome, welcome. I am the host. However, our leader today is Leroy Kaufman. He will be leading us in the topic of enthusiasm. But before we start, we my personal mastermind group yesterday, who Phil, Leroy, myself, Albert, are in it together, and we had our discussion yesterday. We meet every Monday, and one of the questions I had, we start this meeting off typically with the question, who had a win this week? And part of the purpose of this group is for us to engage. And I came to the realization, and we discussed it as a group, that maybe everyone didn't have a win, but they might have had an experience. And so, we want to encourage everyone. If you had an experience over this last week, since we last met, good, bad, indifferent, whatever, that you want to share with the group, feel free to share that here. And we'll do that at the beginning of our session, and then we'll launch into the principle that we're talking about, right? So right off the bat, Zach, I see your hand go up. Go ahead, buddy.
Yes, sir. I had this thought in our last meeting when when we started and we were talking about wins. I woke up today, so that was the foundation to my day. So that was a win, and I get that. I've had that every day that I've been alive. So that's wonderful. I've also been working at we talked about emotional control on Wednesday, and so that led me to do a deeper dive into emotions and my connection with my own emotions. So I've been doing some deep work and uh, some learning in that area, trying to understand myself, my emotions, the way that I interact with them, how they flow through me, how I allow them to flow through me, and it's been very powerful. So I check that off as a win for sure.
I I love that. I love that. Having these discussions every week, whether it be in this session here, I also run a book study on Wednesday nights. If any of you guys are interested in that, I'd be more than happy to send you the link. Um, but being aware, you
Tell
talk about
them
him.
what book you're going to study. What is the
I'll
book
do
study?
the book right now. We're wrapping up Outwitting the Devil.
That's an awesome book.
It is an awesome book. We're on the last chapter. We're probably going to finish it tomorrow night. And then I'm not sure what the next book is going to be, but I'll let you guys know when we do make that decision. But Zach, getting back to you, being aware, listening, and then opening your eyes and kind of tracking yourself to, well, how am I doing in this area? We talked about self-control and self-discipline. How am I doing there? Am I living my life by emotion or am I living my life by reason? Right? And just opening your eyes and reflecting is really, really important. I'd like to share with you guys. I've been noticing a trend. You probably imagine most of you have seen the television commercial. It's not NyQuil, it's ZQuil, right? And this guy's laying in bed. It's Sunday night, and it turns out that almost every Sunday night he has a hard time going to sleep. And I call it the Monday morning anxiety. And I started to notice that I was feeling that. Sunday was ending. I know when I go to bed, the next time I open my eyes, Monday morning is going to be here. And I had some stress and some anxiety. So I had to ask myself the question of what's causing the stress and anxiety. And the truth is, there were some things that I was responsible for doing that when I began them, I loved doing them. And then over time, they became more of a chore than an enjoyment. And I made a decision this past weekend that I was going to remove anything that fit into that category, that I'm doing it because I have an obligation to do it, but I'm not really enjoying it. And I took action on one of those yesterday. I took action on one of those this morning. And I can't tell you the weight that I felt removed from my shoulders when I decided, rather than doing those two things, I'm going to focus on the three things that I really, really enjoy. My Monday mastermind with my personal mastermind group, this mastermind group on Tuesdays, and the book study on Wednesdays. Those are the three things that I really love doing. They give me enjoyment, no stress required. So I challenge you guys, to take some time after our session today to reflect on, are the things you're doing things that you're enjoying doing, or are they just adding stress to your life? Right? If you're having those Sunday evening anxiety, Monday morning anxieties, just get rid of them. Don't worry about it. You can make those decisions. And, think about the word decision is we're cutting it. We're cutting out what doesn't serve us, that doesn't align with your personal goals. And I think it's really important for us to understand that we're not preaching self-discipline or enthusiasm or any of this. We're sharing principles that help us to align what the things that we're doing every day in our life to achieve what we each individually personally want to achieve, right? So I hope that makes sense. Hey, Rob, welcome to the room. Come on on. Come on camera if you can, brother. All right.
All right.
Uh,
Hey, what up, fellas? Hey, what up,
hey,
fellas?
what's going
I'm
on,
at work.
Rob?
I'm at work. I'm at work. I just wanted to post up and say welcome. I'm happy to be here, and I appreciate you all. All right, I'm
Thanks, brother.
listening.
You go ahead and listen in. We'll talk soon. Phil, you got your hand up. Go ahead, buddy.
Yeah, I love what you just shared, and thank you for sharing that, Frank, too, because I know myself too. I was in a position in the family business where I was 37 years. I was always waiting for 6 months or next year it'll change. 6 months or next year it'll change. 6 months. Imagine doing that for 20 years
Mm.
and then being overworked, working up to like 140 hours sometimes, but not all the time. And you mentioned the decision. We're going to cut off what isn't working for us and move towards what is. So the opportunity for it got told to me. I got fired by an email from my brother, and we still have family harmony because I know that studying this principles helps me to keep a balanced and calm mind so that the emotion wasn't going to control me. I can be acknowledged and aware of the emotion. Yeah, I could continue to move forward and make that decision. Powerful principle decision is that when we put everything else aside and we just focus on where we're going, um, and go that in that direction, what pleases us, what brings you life, what adds joy to the your spirit. And I went through a couple of valleys and a couple of peaks, and the way back up to the peak again. And on the journey, as the peak keeps on growing, there's another peak I can go to. And then having the freedom to do that, we always have the power to choose. Like, we can never allow ourselves to be offended unless we choose to be. We never allow ourselves to be oppressed unless we stay doing the same thing. It's as simple as making a switch in a thought and moving into taking action into the thing that's going to bring us joy. So thank you for being an example, Frank. And I had the same experience in my family business. I moved away, but now I'm going at a higher level. I'm starting to work at higher levels and different things there. And this philosophy is what really was the inspiration for me.
Yeah, thanks for sharing, Phil. The one thing I want to say in regard to my anxiety wasn't necessarily the things that I was obligated to. My anxiety is what are other people going to think if I back out, right? and just want to share this, and then Zach, I'll turn it over to you. Um, so yesterday I made a decision. I cut something out of my life, and the result was more people than I expected sent me a message thanking me for all of the time and effort that I had invested doing that thing. They weren't judging or criticizing me, they were thanking me. And then this morning, I did the same thing. I went out for my walk. I came back and checked my email. The same thing happened. The people who I told I was leaving thanked me for my professionalism and the level of contribution that I had given. So here I am sweating the load. I can't do this because I'm going to disappoint all these people. And it was the complete opposite, right? So if any of you are in that position, think about it. You've given it your best. Maybe it's time to move on. Go ahead, Zach.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, when you were speaking, Phil, it made me think of destination syndrome. You know, you were talking about waiting and getting to a certain point, and like it'll be okay then. If I can get to that point, then I'll be happy. And that's something I've tried to focus on the eternal now. This is the only time that we exist is right now, and focusing on being happy right now is the only way you're going to be happy. As far as my experience, that's what I've found. Trying trying to get to somewhere to fulfill something tends to be fairly meaningless to me, and also doing it for myself, because if I do it for something else, then when I do achieve it, it often feels empty, you know? And so like that kind of it reflects on what you were talking about, Frank. It's just like if I'm putting all this weight on what other people think or um, care about, then I'm taking away from my own self and my integrity. Why am I doing something? And when I make sure that I'm aligned with my values and morals, then things carry more weight and they mean more. So
Yeah, I love that, Zach. Thank you. Thanks for sharing. Rob.
Hey, thanks, Frank. Just kind of dovetailing off of what some of the gentlemen are saying here as far as business and, taking that risk and making those decisions. Entrepreneurs, I heard Derek say, he came from an entrepreneur life. I came from the opposite side. I've always worked my whole life. Military, 27 years, always had that check coming in. Got out of the military, that didn't stop me. Started a whole new career in cybersecurity. It's a bit of a tough field to get into, but was really successful because I wanted to work. And that's me. I work. I've never had a woman that took care of me, paying the bill. I'm like, no, I work. I work, take care of the home. I take care of the family. That I pay the bills. I make sure everything's set. Well, I decided to burn the boats, and take a chance on this business that my buddy, who's a best friend of 30 years, good guy, great guy, visionary, just one of those guys, that just has this off the wall kind of approach to life when it comes to business. And everything went to hell. It didn't kick off the way it did. I walked away from my job. I stepped out of the corporate world. I moved. I've made a lot of sacrifices for this opportunity. My experience not only was stress, but then battling that stress, and I really, I had to drive home from Colorado Springs, Oklahoma after seeing my kids, and it's about a 10-hour drive. And I just filled my toolkit full of, okay, how can I get to this negative talk? My partner says, hey, we got another mentor. They're saying, heard it. I've been on doing this thing for 30 to 90 days now. I've got another mentor that's saying this. Okay. And even right there, that's negative. That's not a good way to talk about it, So it's been a struggle for me. Maybe it's because I'm a new entrepreneur, I don't know, but it's just one of those things I've put a lot of work into, that self-talk and just changing up my attitude, because I have faith and believe that God brought me here for a reason. It's his plan. Not necessarily, maybe this is not necessarily the plan. Maybe he has a contingency plan that I'm supposed to learn from this. Who knows what God's plan is, but I know I'm here for a reason. So yeah, just to echo what everyone's saying about business and taking those chances, burning the boats and the stress that brings, I can relate now for real.
Yeah, Rob, thank you so much for that. It's change is hard, right? Change is hard. It's challenging. It's scary. And the thing that when I was listening to Rob speak, the thing that came to my mind was our subconscious mind is designed to protect us. So when we put ourselves in a position of change, all the risk start to bubble up to the surface. Your subconscious mind jumps in there and starts talking about, oh, well, what if this happens? Or what if that happens? What if this happens? It's designed to do that so it will protect us. It doesn't mean it's the truth. It's just there's a risk involved. And anytime we make change, we subject ourselves to a certain amount of risk. Go ahead, Mike. Michael.
Good morning,
Good
gentlemen.
morning.
Um, okay, so Frank, I need some context for this conversation.
Okay.
And I think because having, being in the military yourself and doing hard things, those things require hard things being done. So for me, I don't know about anybody else, but I have to put the frame around this somehow because we all know that if you want to achieve great stuff, you've got to do great things. And not every part of a great thing is going to be enjoyable, fun, bring happiness to your lives. I mean, you look at the greatest athletes of all time. Not all of them enjoyed their 4:30 in the morning practices. On Tuesday, maybe they did, but they didn't necessarily on Wednesday. So can you put this into a box for me so I really understand the context? Because I don't want this to fall into we should only pursue things that immediately bring us joy or gratification, because that's also not true.
Yeah. 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 I can certainly wrap some context about it. Michael, I don't know when you jumped in and what we'd already talked about. I initially started talking about one of my shares was that I would go to bed Sunday night with anxiety from Monday
Yep.
morning. No, okay, you caught that. And so
Yeah,
it,
yeah.
it's not running away from things that are difficult or challenging. It's recognizing things that are no longer serving you and not staying committed to those obligations that you maybe, for example, I'll use the two examples for myself. I'm the professional development program director for the Marine Corps League for the state of Florida, for the Department of Florida.
Okay.
And when I started it, it was fun and I enjoyed it. And it's right up my alley. It's what I do. But it
Yes.
became an obligation that gave me anxiety for some reason.
Okay.
And so I had to ask myself, is this still serving my purpose? And I guess really good context is I tend to say yes to a lot of things and then realize just how committed I became to too many things.
Right.
And so it's recognizing those things that are no longer serving you, no longer aligned with what your definite major purpose is, not running away from challenges, just recognizing the things that you're doing that are taking up time that they don't need to take up. Does that help?
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Because I was having trouble putting kind of the self-discipline talk that we've had over the last couple of weeks into this box where it's like, guys, like sometimes what you have to do isn't going to be fun. It's not going to be easy. We can't wake up every day going, I really feel awesome about shoveling this shit. Like that's not always going to happen.
Right.
Right. Some days it's going to be a challenge. Like Rob's going through that right now, right? He's in his business. He's trying to figure this out. They're navigating, right? I always call it, Rob, when you're launching a business, like you're trying to fly a fighter jet through a hula hoop, right? Like, how do I actually pull this off? And so that's not easy. That's not necessarily fun. That I don't necessarily wake up Monday morning excited to do that. But as you said, when you align what your asks are with your purpose, right? And you're constantly adjusting, like autopilot in that big, huge Boeing 747. You are adjusting that flight to stay on path. Because as you said, Frank, we're going to say yes to stuff because we don't know what the recipe for our success is yet. So we got to put stuff into the pot, right? And figure out which ones actually fit, which ones don't fit, and continuously taste the recipe. So that really helped give me some context for what we were
Great.
referencing. Thank you.
Thanks, Michael. Thanks for your input. I appreciate you. Albert.
Thanks, Frank. So I wanted to circle back to your statement about the mind and how you were afraid of what was going on. Our subconscious mind seeks to control our reality by making it consistent with what we've had before. So when we want to develop something new or create change, we have to change who we are. And that means reprogramming our subconscious and creating a new self image. When you have the self image of the person that you want to be, and you coordinate your efforts to reprogram your subconscious mind, and there are definite steps to do that. All of us here have done this. You will then get closer to the reality that you're seeking. But until you change your subconscious, it will continue to drive you towards what you have now rather than what you're looking to do. Because the real goal here is your brain, your mind is creating the reality that you're living in. So, do you want a new reality? That's the deep story of who you are. Yes, it is. I mean, the conscious mind, we control all the time. The subconscious mind controls our reality. If you want change, you have to have your conscious mind reprogram your subconscious mind by doing things in a certain way in order to see the change occur.
Love that. Thanks, Albert. I love it when the different perspectives, we're all sitting here in a room listening to the conversations and we're all hearing something different. And, that's the way this is supposed to work. How did it impact you? Luis, I saw your hand go up, then I saw it come down. What do you got, brother?
Thank you. I don't know. Somebody's microphone is
Yeah,
open and
I
making
muted
noises.
him. I muted him.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. Yeah, just coming from that, I mean, what Michael was saying and Albert right now brought me to something that about the duty and the excitement and the logics and all that. So I'm going to ask you all this. How would you feel you go to the casino and you hit that jackpot? How would you feel that first time? But then you do it again and it happens again. What's the excitement behind it? But nevertheless, you get a third time and you win. What's the feeling then? See, when we used to win, it becomes a labor, it becomes normal, it becomes the new norm, the new standard. Are we operating from that standard? Most of us are. The problem is we want to be successful. We want to be a 10 in every single thing that we do. And sometimes that kicks you in the butt. So I heard somebody giving I put together a summit every year. And last year, this presenter was saying, I'd rather to be a 7 in everything because I know how to do a bunch of things. Because his level of commitment was, I know a bunch of things, I can do several things, maybe not be the best, but I can do and not necessarily excel, but be good at many things. And that kept me thinking. I said, but that's some kind of average, mediocre way of thinking in one way. Because I know for a fact that I cannot be great in everything, but I can be very damn good at two or three things. And then from there, start pulling things, right? So what I'm going with this is, are we actually asking ourselves to be great in everything that we do? And maybe because we're not reaching that level of success that we have reached, let's say, in sports, in my case, right? World champion, this and that. But on the businesses, I'm struggling. And there's an imbalance of my own freaking image. That makes sense. I'm going to what Albert was saying, right? The subconscious mind knows that I'm very good at this thing, but I'm so mediocre in this thing. So I think that is when it comes to what am I valuing it? Is this really important? And this is what I learned from Bob Proctor afterwards. If I really want it though, let's make it fun about it. Yes, Michael, I hated it. I don't like to get up and run at 6 in the morning. Not every single day. One day out of the month, maybe two, I'm feeling like, yes, this is, but the other 25 days of the month, I'm like, God damn, I gotta do it. I gotta do it. But then I change my mind and say, I am choosing to doing it. That helps me. And I learned that from NHI, from one of the coaches. I'm choosing to do it because that was going to get me to the result that I want. So just that. Are we kicking ourselves in the butt and lashing ourselves and making us feel so bad because I am not great in everything that I am doing? So I would choose two or three things to excel and everything else get a mastermind, delegate, or just be open. You know what? This thing that I'm doing is not going to bring me $100,000 a year, but it's going to bring me 5,000, and I'm okay with that.
Hmm.
I don't know. Just food for thought, and I hope
Yeah.
it goes in alignment with what we've been talking.
Great, great, great endpoint, Luis. And you know, as you were speaking, I was thinking about my early days in elementary school. And if you think about it, you mentioned, just being average at things. We're actually, in most cases, have gone through an education system that wants us to achieve average grades. Just, I'm not good at math. Well, okay, let's just get you to a C. But I'm really good at this over here. I was really good in my drama class and public speaking, and that gave me enjoyment to do those types of things. I maybe didn't do it the way a lot of other people did, but I did it my way, and I was having fun with it. And I asked myself as I got older, why was everybody trying to make me average in all these subjects instead of helping me master the one, two, or three subjects that I was really good at? And if our minds were open to those two or three things that we were really good at, we were natural at, maybe our lives would have gone in a different direction, right? And so, yeah, again, it goes back to what do I want? What's the plan? Is what I'm doing every day aligned with the plan to get me to what I want, right? Very simple. Guys, thank you for your input. And the first 30 minutes of this conversation got people to talk about stuff, and that's exactly the way we want it. Leroy, Leroy's here to talk to us about enthusiasm. And enthusiasm, I think, leads into every piece of the conversation that's led up to this. Being enthusiastic about what it is that you want. If you're enthusiastic about what it is that you want, you're willing to pay the price. So you choose to do the things that are required, even though you don't necessarily like them. So I'm going to give the floor over to Leroy to lead us on the principle of enthusiasm. Go for it, my friend.
Thanks, Frank, and thank you all for being here, and thank you for all your input. Um, wow. So I think we've already seen the principle of enthusiasm demonstrated right here. It's everybody is so enthusiastic. And so I would say we can go home now. But uh, so I did want to start off with some of what some of you said. I don't have. I should have been writing stuff down, but Luis, you talked about what the excitement or something like. I often think back to going to church where they had these, music, loud music going, and it gets everybody hyped up. But how long does it last? You go home, you go back down, you go back to your job. I like to think enthusiasm has to come from within in order for it to be productive. So I I had some notes. I don't know if I can share. Do I have the ability to share or not? No. Uh, anyway, if you read the book if you read the chapter, it's all yeah, it's kind of some of the stuff kind of left me. But enthusiasm is it's not just I listened to Napoleon Hill about enthusiasm this morning, and he said if you send a person into a workplace, you have dozens of workers. He said that person can influence the whole workforce, whether it's negative or positive. So we have to be careful about, you know, just because we have enthusiasm doesn't mean that uh, that it's good. But so enthusiasm is how you present yourself, and it's whether you can hold the attention. He also said that a lot of people were a speaker could hold a person spellbound for 2 hours, and after you would ask them what did the speaker have to say, and they couldn't tell you what they said, but they knew that okay, I can share now. So it's I'm not sure. I'm kind of all over the place myself here, so um so I thought, yeah, I just wanted to get over here to see. Oh, this line right here. Many people confuse enthusiasm with noise. They think it is volume. They think it is personality. They think it is jumping up and down. But real enthusiasm does not begin in the body. It begins in conviction. So, a conviction. What is a conviction? Is uh, when your mind and your purpose come into agreement. So, yeah, I don't have. I didn't prepare a lot, but uh, anyway, I'd like to open it up for anybody that has anything more to share about enthusiasm, how they've used enthusiasm, and how it's changed their life.
Lee, yeah, go ahead, Rob.
Hey, thanks, Frank. Thanks, Leroy. That leads right into another personal experience I had. Me and mom are great co-parents for our kids. Our kids are very happy. We all go to church together. We all go to Easter together. But I was able to have a conversation with her about the business because this is not the direction I was supposed to go. I was supposed to be in a different financial situation. And she's like, "Why are you doing this? What, you have your retirement, you have your disability. What's going on?" I was like, "Those two kids right there." I was like, "I want to set those kids up with investments. I want them to work hard, but I want them, especially in the world today, just have a buffer." So that right there just enthused me before my long trip home. That purpose. I was like, "That's what I'm. That's why I'm doing this. That's why I'm taking on these risks. That's why I burnt the boats because the forecasted amount of capital that we were supposed to make from what's coming or what was going to happen, it's still coming. It's just on the burner because of some hard licks that we took initially as entrepreneurs. So I did drive home enthused because of that. Because she asked me that question, she really didn't have much to say after that. Because we got a divorce for a reason. Yeah, that's what enthused me was my children.
Thanks, Rob, for sharing that. Phil, go ahead.
Yeah, great thoughts there, Rob. And then Leroy, yeah, I like how you're talking about too, is that you're talking about the church where you can get there. What's all of that external noise? It's a vibration, and that vibration lifts us up. If we go to a church and there's great music there, or people that get into the energy going. If you go to a sporting event, the cheering that's happening, before that anticipation, what's ahead. And when we have that anticipation, if you look at it energetically in science, it's a high vibe as opposed to a low vibe. We had a clergy around us, a congregational minister who, you know, it could be easy to go through whether it's a Catholic church or Protestant of any denomination or Jewish or whatever the denomination is. How many times okay, here's the prayer, here's a self-confidence formula. First, I have you know, I know that I have the ability. If I say it that way, if I just show up reading it deadpan and flat, it doesn't have the same message. This minister would say, once more, say the 23rd Psalm with expression. And then he got in and he used each word had something that was a meaning. And we start talking about that. I know when it's coming, that energy is inside of us. That's and theos, as the Greek said, with God within, that spirit of infinite intelligence hits us at a high vibration. And I love how you mentioned, that the external, but we had to really shift to make that internal and the conviction. I like how you put that because conviction is that internal sense of, yeah, I'm at a high vibe and it's going to be, I am responsible for the vibration I'm in. There's hills and valleys, there's ebbs and flows, and things are going to happen. Yet we aren't going to let those lows and the adversities hold us back. We get enthusiasm. With gratitude, we're grateful for having that energy inside of us. And I really love how do we be more enthusiastic, showing up, not just going through the motions. Like we started off this call today. We went through the motions of a habit, or what's that habit we can create that really just we're connected, we're reaching the highest vibration we can internally. And yeah, that's what I love about enthusiasm. So thanks.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Joe. Frank.
Yeah, thanks, Leroy, and thanks for the comments about conviction, and Rob, what you identified in your comment is your why. And when you know what you want, it's powerful. You create a plan that's required. Why you want it is the energy that gives you the conviction to push on, to be persistent, to drive through the obstacles. So when you identify your why, you're actually giving yourself the energy to pursue your goal with enthusiasm because you know what the end result is. Right? You know what the end result is going to be. If I do this, this is going to happen. If I choose not to do this, because it's all about choice, if I choose not to do it, well, then it's not going to happen. Then you have to ask yourself, okay, then why did I set this goal if I'm not willing to pay the price? So the why has to be really, really, really clear. I was given a structure to set goals, God, back in the mid 80s. And there was what do you want? Why do you want it? What's the benefit? So you could see what the reward was going to be. And then as I grew in the self-development field, I started to notice that people were focusing on the goal more than they were focusing on the why. And maybe that's the reason a lot of people have a challenge reaching their goals because they're not clear on what the benefit's going to be. They're not clear on what the why is. And so they're not pushing through. There's a reason I think January 15th is Quitter's Day because everybody set their goals at December 31st and they make it 2 weeks and they're done because they weren't willing to pay the price. So thank you for sharing that, Rob, because you gave me clarity as to, yeah, we got to be clear not only on what we want, but why do we want it?
Yeah.
And then you
Thank
can
you.
point, just like you did to your wife, for them. That's why I'm doing this. And that
Yeah.
became very clear. Yeah. So
And
thanks, Leroy.
thanks, Frank. That brings me to another point Jim Rohn said about, you know, after after it gets to the point where it gets boring and you don't want to do it again, that's when it's really going to count, whether you keep doing it or not.
Yeah.
Michael, please go ahead.
Hey, Leroy. Okay. What Frank said just made me laugh because I was thinking to myself, well, maybe Frank, they just have, really small goals and they're done by January 15th. They're just finished.
Uh,
Um,
Great perspective, Mike.
yeah, yeah. Okay. So I had this thought when we were talking about this, that enthusiasm is heat. So I don't know if you guys know this, but they used to believe, Albert would love this, they used to believe that heat was an invisible liquid and it poured from one thing to the next. That's how it moved, right? That was the basis for what Frank's next book should be. Okay, Frank, Alchemist. Here you go, right there. Right, the basis, a huge part of alchemy was that heat was actually a liquid, and it flowed from my teacup onto the actual table, and there was an invisible liquid that was actually flowing from the heat source to the other thing. And as that liquid dissipated, right? We couldn't see it. We couldn't really feel it. Yeah, there you go. Beauty, buddy. We couldn't see it, but the liquid dissipated. And of course, the heat reduced because the liquid was dissipating. And eventually, the liquid dissipates so far that the heat doesn't really happen anymore. Of course, now we just know that to be energy and what energy is. But, 1,500 years ago, they thought it was a fluid. And what I was thinking about was when Leroy was talking about enthusiasm and we're talking about what it is, to me, it's heat, right? It is the liquid that we're pouring, right? It is the thing that we're transferring, right? So I teach a lot and train a lot about the power and effectiveness of influence. How to get somebody to change the way they see things to the way you see things. Because whether we love it or not, every time we open our mouths, we're pretty much trying to influence the other person on the other side of the table, right? So the fact is the understanding the power of influence is really important, and enthusiasm is a crucial ingredient to that. If you're not enthusiastic, as Phil was pointing out, right? I'm watching the Vancouver Canucks play right now, Phil. They are not enthusiastic about that game of hockey. It is horrifying, right? It is like Lewis, you could go out there having never put on skates. You're an athletic guy. You could kick their ass right now. Like, it is an embarrassing sight. Anyway, point is, they are playing with zero enthusiasm, my friends. Zip, not a zilch, not a piece of it. And they're losing so badly, right? I'm actually mortified to call them even a hockey team at this point. They're basically just creatures on a pond with ice. Anyway, point is, they're terrible because they have no enthusiasm. They know they suck. They're going to suck for a while, and they're heading down that toilet bowl of terribleness. No enthusiasm. There's no heat, right? There's no possess. There's no absolutely nothing. And so enthusiasm is that, to me, it's that energy that we are transferring to somebody else. It's the liquid we're pouring into them. And Paul was asking, how do you find that energy? To me, it's Tony Robbins already gave us the key. He said, change your state, change your story. So if you want energy, take control of it. That's how I do it. I'll do jumping jacks. I'll get on the bike behind me, right? You guys know I live right near the beach. I'll go take the dog for a walk. I'll change my state, my energy shifts. If I want to stay exactly where I am at the enthusiasm I'm at, sit in my own pile of, whatever I'm sitting in, then stay right where you are, Bridgman. You'll get exactly what you've been getting. So anyway, that was what I wanted to share, was that I see enthusiasm as liquid heat, baby. We are transferring it from one thing to the next. And that is exactly what alchemy is all about, right?
Thank you, Michael. I said I didn't have much prepared, but I got so much in my head, but when it comes to sharing it disappears, just like Jim Rohn said. I got up to speak, but my mind sat back down. So I'm working on it. Lewis, go ahead.
Hey guys, amazing. This is going in amazing places. So first thing is that I'm coming with right energy, right? And we're coming on this enthusiasm and all this thing. But when we're looking for something, and going to back what Frank said, when we're looking for the goal, we need to be we're pushing towards it, right? Well, when we come from the why, it's pulling us towards it. Does that make sense? So when we're going for the goal, we're pushing. And yes, there's days where I'm not feeling it. But if I have the self-discipline, there are days I'm just gonna have to freaking cruise through it. But I have to show up. I might don't do it 100%, but I showed up and I did what I needed to do. Back to what Phil said sometimes, right? We just go through the motions and stuff. But it is part of I said I was going to do it and I did it. And that is a huge victory inside. It's the little compound effect, right? I did it. I didn't feel like it. We all been going through the gym or that working out session that we didn't want to do it. And how do you feel afterwards? Like you freaking conquered the world because it's not the session, it's that you mentally beat yourself to that other personality. That guy that was telling you, no, well, let's skip it today. It's too cold and all that, right? So we beat that negative person of that, whatever it is, bad. So if we can turn the why into the most important thing, it's gonna pull us towards it. So that's what we need to have very clear what the why is. And sometimes, and some of us would say, well, it's my wife, it's my kids. Bullshit. It's not. It is not. It's who we need to become to provide for them, to be the person that takes control on what's going to happen to my family. I need to protect them. I need to feed them. I need to provide. And then as a family, then we take care of it and we find the how or the why, right? Whatever it is there. But I have to be ahead of it because if we don't do that, in my case, we're failing. And sometimes, yeah, we're gonna get fired. Sometimes we're gonna lose the business. It's going to freaking happen. But just like the video that I sent you, Frank, guys, earlier, life is gonna punch you in the freaking face several times. And sometimes it's gonna hit us where it hurts the most, which is not the physical part, it's the emotional part, the psychological part, the people that we love. How are you gonna get up every single time? Buddha said it. You drop 7 times, you get up 8, period. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thanks, Louis. Yeah, that is so crucial to so when you talk about why, it made me think of a seed. Like you don't have you don't have to do anything after you plant the seed except water it and nourish it, but because it draws the nutrients it needs to make it grow. We can do nothing to make it grow. So we gotta and I could see the why as being what keeps you keeps pulling you forward. Frank, go ahead.
Yeah, thanks, Leroy, and Luis. Thanks for that input, and thanks for that video this morning because I raised my hand because I wanted to share that. So everybody does it differently, but we are all capable to change our energy. I'm reflecting back to my days as a young recruiter in the foothills of West Virginia. And after a long weekend of partying with the boys, I maybe wasn't so excited about this appointment that I was going on to try to inspire a young man or a young woman to come into the Marine Corps. And so I would crank up the radio, roll down the windows, and change my energy. To this day, there are songs that I put on to change my energy. We all remember back in the 80s when the Rocky song, Eye of the Tiger. I mean, how many people would play that I just get goosebumps at saying the words. You're changing your energy. I change my energy all the time when I feel like I'm not in the right place. I take my 4 or 5 mile walks in the morning. I change my energy depending on where my mind is. Sometimes this morning I listened to two different podcasts. My mind was there. I was open to learn. Sometimes I don't even want to be out there, and that's when I put on my classic rock and roll, crank the volume up a little bit. It picks up my pace, right? So you have the ability to change your energy. You have to recognize that your low is a vibration, as Phil says. Yeah, it's a vibration. You need to raise the vibration. Energy is nothing more than vibration. So how do you change it? How do you get fired up? In the Marines, Rob, you probably had the same thing in the Army. Let's get fired up and get after this thing. Well, sometimes just that unity gets you moving. This mastermind group can get you moving, right? In fact, part of our responsibility in this room is to hold each other accountable for what you're struggling with. But you have to find the tool that works best for you. How can you change your energy? And I'm sharing that, Paul, for you. You asked a question, how do I change my energy? You got to find that way. For some people, it's just sitting down reading a book. For some people, it's watching a movie. I love the Rocky movies. They get me fired up. They're stupid as they are. They get me fired up. It changes my energy, right? That's all I got.
Thank you, Frank. Rob, go ahead.
Yeah, Frank, got back to the military thing. I was a drill sergeant for a few years, and one of the things that they made us do in drill sergeant school was motivate a tree. So you'd have to go out there and you'd have to go off on this tree. And if you didn't do it, if you didn't impress the instructor, it was you're out of there. You needed to tear this tree up. And after tearing that tree up, you'd walk away just with this energy, like because you're soaking it up just like you're trying to have that young recruit soak it up. Get motivated, get through it. Let's go, let's go, let's go. One of those things back to Albert Alberts that really resonated with me was the subconscious and the conscious. Lewis, you brought it up, running. So I'm not a big fan of running, but I know I'm going to have to run because I have my brother Derek on the call with Frank, who's brand new to the group. We're going to an event in April where we're going to have to run. And but there was a certain point in that run this morning after a 10-hour drive yesterday. My back hurts. I got about 4 hours of sleep. I knew I had to run. So I got up and I ran. And when I started really talking to myself at that point where I'm coming around the corner for that last mile on my run, I'm not only talking to myself, I'm talking to my subconscious, like, you keep running, keep going, So you're having this real honest conversation. I love meditation. I love aromatherapy. I believe in frequency. I believe in sound baths. I do believe in all that, but I really, really do believe that you have to have that conversation with your subconscious where you are completely vulnerable. And it goes like to planking. Planking, you have to plank and you get to a point to where you got to get zeroed in. There's some good TED Talks on planking. But even just for 30 seconds to a minute, you get zeroed in, and that's when you start having real conversations with yourself. So but no, this conversation is great, and it's really resonated with me. And again, Frank Derricks is on the call. He's brand new. I brought him in. So
Can I say something real quick? We need to
Yeah,
learn to silence our little bitch inside of us because we all have it.
yeah,
We all have it. Yeah,
yeah.
we just need to learn to have the to be true to ourselves and shut it off. That's what I
Absolutely.
want to say.
Absolutely, they were right. Derek, welcome to the room. Rob, thanks for bringing him in. And Derek, if you're able to share your email, if not, I'll get it from Rob. We'll make sure you get included on the invite list for the future meetings that we have. Okay. Paul, I
Okay,
saw
and thanks for having me here.
you. Welcome, brother. Paul, I saw your hand up. Why'd you go? Why'd you take it down, buddy? Come on in.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I'd just like to thank you guys for watching the comments and realizing that I just realized I don't shine like I should. Sometimes I feel that, and then I just like seems to this last while just Kim Calvert's kept bumping up, but she's always bumping my energy. I'm just wondering what am I lacking? I don't have that same mojo or same get up and go and just taking all your comments here and writing them down. So really appreciate that. And to be honest, most of these guys, like 3 or 4 years I've seen these and these have all elevated, which is brilliant. Like it's a matter of staying with it. It's like riding out the storm or do the 1,000 hours. So just want to share that and just like keep the positivity for whoever needs it. And that's I'm always here to reach out. Thank you.
Yeah. Hey, thanks, Paul. Paul, being from Ireland, so my first real estate coach is Brian Buffini, and he's from Ireland. And he used to tell stories about getting fired up, going on a listing appointment to go meet somebody to list a home for sale. And he would play as loud as he could. I think they call it Baroque music. So it's really like powerful music. And he'd come screaming around the corner, and the music would be blaring, and he'd be getting all fired up, as he would put it. So I mean, we all have our way, and I'm glad that you're getting something out of this. I'm glad all of you guys are getting something out of this. This is the sole purpose of this mastermind. Luis, you got it.
Yes, I love what you're saying and what Michael said earlier about changing your state, right? Because it's not about changing your physiology. You cannot change your physiology without changing your mindset. It's really fast. It's not really something that, oh, I have to get in and start changing my mindset. No, it's making the right conscious decision right there. Okay, I'm freaking boring. I'm dying. I'm dying of boring, or I'm tired, whatever it is. You just change and then do something about it. You need to get into action. So, do you guys know how to do it? How can you really quick change your state? Because we can talk about it for 30 freaking seminars, but we don't do exactly, Michael. Exactly. Do you know that every single one of you guys have a champion inside? I mean, you won the race when you were born at conception. You already beat another 400,000 little things to get exactly. So you already won. Why are we
Yeah.
just playing around? So I have, if you allow me, Leroy, I can, some of you guys know what I do. Well, how can we change our state in a heartbeat? If you're willing to
Right.
do it, we can do it if you allow me. All right. Just make sure you don't have anything in your hands, all right? Like anything that can hurt you. Right. Phil knows how to do this already, right? So if you're right-handed, make a fist with your right hand. If you're left-handed, make a fist with your left hand. Open the other hand, and you're gonna say out loud, really, really loud, you're gonna say, I am a champion. And you're gonna say it like you mean it, I am a champion, I'm a champion, I'm a champion. Ready? One, two, three. I'm a champion. I'm a champion. Fast, loud, hard. I'm a champion. I'm a champion. I'm a champion. And say it louder. All right, who's feeling different already? It took us what, 10 seconds? So that's the things that
Yeah.
they do. Thanks, guys. Thanks for following along with me. That was cool. Where's Frank?
He's right there.
Oh, there you
He's
are. There you are. You switched.
Phil, you got your hand up.
Oh no, I think the computer got charged up from my energy.
Oh, it went up.
That's what that was from. But no, thank you, Luis. Yeah, that's it. And Michael had alluded earlier. It's like that's what we do. It's like Tony Robbins. It's external motivation. Anything. Find that source of how we get that champion. What is that source? Is it music? Is it nature? Is it meditation? Whatever that is for you, that perhaps it's like if you change your thought process, that thought process can inspire you. Whatever it is, it can be from the most subtle to the most powerful. Um, it could be a TV show. I love watching the movie Miracle when I really have things that are against the odds. A hockey movie about the U.S. winning gold. And they just won. I'm sorry, Michael, but Canada has won a lot too, so it's always a good thing. But whatever it is, that just being here with this group is inspirational. It's like we know we've got each other's back. We know we're here as a support group. We know we're doing the thing that, there's 9 billion people in the world. We're less than a thousandth of 1% of people who are aware of this. And this is what we have to do: be ourselves, energize ourselves, continue to have a conversation with other people, invite people who want to make a shift into this wonderful mastermind, keep on spreading the word, and invite people, vet people to be sure that we don't bring in cancers. We don't want that. However, we do want people who are there. You know what? I'm tired. I'm ready. Let's go. Let's go.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks, Phil. I wanted to share one last thing about my experience this week, this past week is like, I, Lewis, you said something about it's not about doing it for your wife or your children, but it's doing it so that you can provide for them. And that's what I've learned in the last year is Lefford Fate told me this. I was having a conversation with him one time, and I was saying something about my wife needs to, and he's like, "Your wife doesn't need to do anything." And I heard that because I knew it, but I didn't really take it to heart until I heard that. And then I completely released her. And now Sunday she wanted to sit down and, hey, let's have a conversation about our goals for the next 5 and 10 years. So, it works when you release them from any obligations, it it just works. And or it did for me. So I you know that was my win for this past week. So
Yeah.
thanks guys for showing up and letting me host this and let me be a part of the conversation. So I'll
Thanks,
give back.
Leroy. Thanks, Leroy. Keep stepping up, brother. It gets easier as we move through this, right? And thanks for all the energy today. I think it's really important that we come together and bring that energy. And I want to echo, what Phil said. Do you know somebody who needs this? And all you have to do is invite them and bring them in and let them experience it. Maybe share one of the replays so they can come in with their eyes wide open and know exactly what we do in this room, and just keep bringing it, keep bringing it, because that's what we're here for. Our mission is to help men. My focus. Matter of fact, I decided this morning. So my mission is to inspire, to positively impact the lives of others. And today I decided to change the word others to positively impact the lives of men because that's where we're going. That's what we do here. So whatever the conversations feel like as we're going through it, go back. I listen to the replay when I go out for my walk tomorrow morning. I will listen to the replay again so we can revisit the conversations. And then most importantly, take action. Implement something that you learned in this call. Thank you, Louise, for teaching us how to hurt our freaking left hand. Thank you. Uh, take something away from this and then implement it this week. Make it happen. And share information with people who are in this room. If you want to connect with somebody, unfortunately, I had to actually, I didn't. I did it wrong today. So we got rid of the poison that was here a couple of weeks ago. And now I sent out the email today inviting everybody here. That's everybody's email in that invite. If somebody here touched you, impacted you, shared something that you want to know more about, send them an email. Let's create that outside conversation. Except for Michael, he's in Canada. He's not friendly anymore. He doesn't talk because his hockey team did not. Never mind, Mike. I'm sorry. Guys, have a great week. Thanks for being here. Thanks for bringing on the energy. I appreciate and love you all. Go for it.